another dimension like Barbarino. I'm going in there packing. Good luck! Oh, no. This is no time to be sitting around sucking snot.
So, what I've attempted to do here this year is to instill in you a basic scientific curiosity about the world that we live in. Harlan? Why don't you tell us about your science project?
I'm working on it.
To be opened by authorized personnel.
Hey, what's this piece of junk?
I don't know. I found it out at old Dawson Field. I figured maybe I could shine it up and pass it off to my science project.
I mean, it's some sort of power plant. I mean, this is generating power and light without heat, Michael.
How's that possible?
It's not possible.
Well, now that sounds like we're dealing with a time-space warp.
We went 2 hours into the future. What?
So how's it work? Simple. You see, it's kind of like breaking through the barriers between time, space, and all dimensions. Whoa, it's climbed out the back.
It's a time-space warp that's created by this gizmo that will warp something into our dimension, or we can travel through time and space.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the long arm of the law.
If I'm gonna wind up in another dimension like Barbarino, I'm going in there packing.
What's it say? Look, it's people from the past and the future, and we're all here together. This is like a crossroads of time and space.
Yeah.
Wow.
My science project.
Hello and welcome to another episode of It Could Have Been a Classic. The year is 1985 and we're going to be talking about the lost film. Well, that most people discovered on VHS because it got pulled after 2 weeks at the cinema, My Science Projects. And an American teen science fiction comedy film directed by Jonathan R. B. Fuel. It followed on the heels of other teen sci-fi comedy films released the same year, such as Back to the Future, Real Genius, and of course, Weird Science. And it definitely did not perform as well as them. So, it's a fascinating film, is this. How this film starts is pretty cool. It starts off in 1957. A spaceship gets shot down and it crashes in the American Nevada desert. And they've got it in this secret base. I assume this will be Area 51. And you see this column of cars come to this like secret Air Force base. And it's President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And he walks in, his general says to him, "It's not the Russians." And he looks up and he's absolutely flabbergasted. It's a spaceship. And they look at him. The general says to him, he says, I don't know how we're going to keep a lid on this. And Dwight looks at him and says, "Destroy it." And that's it. It jumps to 1985 and we get into the characters. Harlan, played by John Stockwell. Fisher Stevens plays Vince Torello. They're like car heads. And I suppose that the school they go to, they're quite cool. It's set in a town. Looks like quite a nice place. It's either a suburb or a town. This is what beauty of these 80s films. They created these like places, and you've got Dennis Hopper as this crazy teacher, right? Who's like a throwback from Woodstock. He's this hippie. And he tells them, if you don't get a science project, you're not going to graduate school. There'll be no college, no future, and that's it. And all Harlan cares about is cars. He's going out with an airhead school. She dumps him because all he cares about is cars. And he's got his mate who comes out with some amazing one-liners. So the film goes in. He gets this as this science chick. She's called a psych major, what they call them in America or whatever. And she sort of like, they end up going out on a date, and he ends up taking her to a junkyard. And, he's got to find something for his science projects. And he goes, it's the abandoned Air Force base. And he falls down this thing into a hole, and he finds a space-time warp device. It's obviously the alien ship's power source or engine core. And he takes it to the garage where he works and messes about with it. And then he plugs up more power to it, and suddenly they're transported through 2-3 hours through time, and they start figuring it out. Things start appearing in front of them. They unplug it, tell the teacher they've got this device. He says, come to school at 9 o'clock. So they take the device to the school and meet the teacher, plug it in, and bang, space-time goes crazy. Dennis Hopper's like really freaking out on the scene, which is brilliant. And suddenly that's it. He vanishes into the space-time continuum. Then it's just them running about everywhere. And this nerd, he's in love with these Alan's, potential new girlfriend. And he chases her about. He's got these weird devices on, spying on him. And he knows because they're coming to the library in Torello, and they ask about certain things about traveling through time and weird stuff, like the outer limits sort of stuff. He clicks to something going on. He goes after Dennis Hopper's character, this teacher who disappears, Bob. He goes in, he plugs it in, suddenly ends up opening the entire universe. The past, the future, and other dimensions all focus on the school appearing. And Harlan, he blows up the power lines because they have to stop when it gets powered up. And they blow the power lines up, and this is when the nerd guy goes in and replugs it in. But never made sense that because they blew the power lines up. Yet the machine still manages to get the power. So anyway, let's not go into the bits of the film. So they're running along. They blow up one of the powers, one of the towers to stop because if it connects to a nuclear reactor, that's it. It's going to expand beyond, it could absorb the entire solar system into a black hole. But while this is all going on, they get home, and he sneaks into his bedroom. The police are there because the town's had a blackout, and they get dragged down to the police station. But the nerd guys plugged it in again, and police lights go off in police station. There's some funny scenes. I mean, the humour in this film is quite funny. And then they realise that the psych chick, she's been left in there because the nerd ran off and left her in there. So they go and rescue her. And they end up meeting gladiators, Neanderthal men, a massive T-Rex running about. A whole world is materializing into ours. Mutants from the future or another dimension. Aliens. I mean, this thing's got it all. They end up bumping into Viet Cong. There's a scene with Viet Cong in there. And they get out and there's a fight with them. And these soldiers... and they get the M16s, and suddenly they're shooting their way through, killing aliens and mutants and monsters, all kinds of stuff. And they've got to turn the machine off. They get in there, they turn it off, and that's basically he gets off with her, and that's the end of the film. He puts there, Bob appears, he rematerializes at the end, the teacher, and he says, "Look, man. The world is not ready for this, only for enlightened individuals like me." I mean, it's really funny. So that's the film, and that's where we sort of like go with it. That's the basic story. It's like, I love this film. So we're gonna sort of go into the good points of this film. This film is a hidden gem. So let's go there.
We will go! Chicago!
Mr. Roberts?
Bob?
Flower power, children. Beatle concerts, anti-war rallies.
I'll be dipped in shit.
What happened to you?
I was blasting through the warp on a time tour of the 60s. I don't know what even to say, man. Trip, man.
It was.
What's your name, cowboy?
Robert Roberts, Esquire, to you, honky.
So now that we've covered the plot, and I did forget to put a TV, and I keep forgetting, but fair enough. Right. So now that we've covered sort of the plot, which is, there's nothing special about it, it's just a lot of interesting characters. Now, this film, it has these magical moments. There's definitely, I'll tell you something, there's a scene in this where you feel like they're just Ghostbusters. There's a scene where they're like the school corridor, and it's all smoke floor and lit up doors, you know, the lights coming through. And you just think, my God, that reminds me of Ghostbusters. There's definitely a Back to the Future feel with this film, but this film has definitely got its own identity. I mean, it's got like a bit of Ghostbusters in it with the scenes, with some of the scenes. Definitely, it's got the Back to the Future feel to it. To a point, a lot of people think that I think it's got a feel of it. That's what I'm going to say. Definitely weird science. Definitely. I'd say more weird science with this. Now, the characters are great. The one-liners from Fisher Stevens, the Vince Torello characters, hilarious. I love Harlan's dad. He's all loved up with this woman he just met, and he got married to her, and she's painted the whole house pink, and he just can't handle it. And the dog, you know, they've got the dog with like expresses emotions. And I do like that, you know, when he says, "Oh, have you met your new stepmother?" And he's like, "Oh God." I mean, there's interesting things. You've got the no bullshit sheriff as well, you know, because he's got nothing to investigate, and this big crisis has happened. But there's a lot of action. There's a potential romance in this as well. And the nerd guy comes through being a hero. As you know, it's interesting that where we start with a stereotype of these characters, and that they're thrown into a situation which is totally mind-blowing, and how it all changes around. This film is a hidden gem. It really is. It's full of action, some romance, definitely science fiction all the way. It's got that 80s feel to it. You know that, like I said before, it's either set in the suburb or the small town, and it's got that magic of it. It's such a shame this film went so under the radar. It never got given a chance. Now, in Sweden, they called it Time Busters, because they classed it as being like Back to the Future and Ghostbusters. Don't ask, it's what it says on the Wikipedia. So they called it Time Busters in Sweden, which is sort of like, I could see it. Yeah, I can get that. Now, the question, is this film, could it have been a classic? Well, this is what we're going to find out.
These are optical delusions like ghosts, so it's cool. Here comes Latello, yo! Son of a bitch, what do you call this, Wawa?
Actually, I think you'd call it a Neanderthal man.
Yeah, well, I don't care what country he's from. One shot in the chones and he's down.
Have a nice day.
Nice day.
Yeah? Come on, I used to be your age once. Way back in the 60s, when all you need to finish school was a Frisbee. Gas mask help.
See you later, Bob.
Protest songs, white rabbits. TNT isn't hurt anything. Take TNC. Free love.
Now we're at the moment. Could this film have been a classic? Yes. A lot of people have not heard of this film. I discovered it in the video library. I do remember it being at the ABC cinema. I remember the poster, but I thought, oh, that looks interesting. I'm going to go see that. And then it just disappeared, as things did back then. You know, you get something for a couple of weeks. If it did poorly, it'd go. So I was in the video library, and this is when I first saw it. When I first watched it, I kept renting it out every couple of months because I just loved this film. It's such a shame. There wasn't a lot of marketing for it. It came out at the right time with Back to the Future, Weird Science, and them type of movies, which I'm massive fans of, especially Weird Science. This film has everything. They took a risk with this. They did take bits out of other stuff, fair enough. But what they did with this film, it's got that magical feel. I mean, there's parts of it, like I said about the corridor, you get the feeling of Ghostbusters, and there is this darkness in this film as well. And these like characters are in this overwhelming situation, delivering the one-liners. The story for me is pretty solid. I think the acting in this, I mean, like his dad and his new stepmother is hilarious. Dennis Hopper as the crazy teacher is just this hippie LSD type teacher, just lives in Woodstock. He's just like on his own planet. He's just great. I mean, the whole film, there's everything in here. I mean, they've even got a big T-Rex running about. It's all going on at this school, you know, and that's the magic of it. And especially the cinematography, it's got that, what they did quite a lot in the 80s, you know, with the colours and all that. It's an awesome film. And for me, if this should have had the right marketing, and it came out at the right time, and it just, nobody noticed it had even been and gone, you know. And it's one of them hidden gems that's out there. I mean, people have reviewed the movie, obviously, you know, do know about it, but I think that as a mainstream movie, it never quite hit the thing. So for me, it's definitely got a cult sort of movie to this, and that's what I just love about it. And even the music is quite cool, you know. I love this movie. The beauty is it is on YouTube. That is the beauty of the whole movie is on YouTube. Now I've tried to get hold of this from my Blu-ray collection. But you can get it abroad, but it's not cheap actually. It's quite expensive. I might have another look today. If I get it for a reasonable price, I would definitely buy this. I'd like a load of extras on this film. Funny really, because Dennis Hopper and Fisher Stevens were in Mario Brothers, and Fisher Stevens had the TV series. Do you remember where the newspaper came through the door? There was a cat, and it told them about tomorrow's events. And he had to stop it before it started, wherever the newspapers were coming from. Daily Edition, I think it was. That just disappeared as well. So my science project, for me, this is definitely a classic. It could have been a classic. It's got everything in it. So that's my review of this movie. You know, guys, please, and ladies, please check this film out. It's cheesy in parts. The Fisher Stevens character Vince Arell, the one-liners he comes out with, and the analogies to science fiction back then is hilarious. Just that alone is worth it. This film is a true gem to enjoy. Right, guys, I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for watching. We're out of lockdown now. Sorry there were no podcasts this week. Been caught up in other things, but we will be back next week. And stay safe, and I will see you on the next episode of It Could Have Been a Classic.
Tax dollars at work.
Look, Detective Nolte.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, you little cockroach.
Hey, what's the matter? I got boogers? Huh?
Hey, kid, why do you wear sunglasses at night?
Because when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day. Oh, yeah? Chill out, Butch, and get a shave.